Hello and welcome to your February edition of Essential Cardano 360, your monthly roundup of just some of the latest news and developments from across the Cardano ecosystem, brought to you by the team at IOG. Now, before we dive in, please remember to like, subscribe and hit that bell icon to get all the latest and greatest news about Cardano from the team here. So 2024 is off to a roaring start, and with all the building happening across the ecosystem and the acceleration of the governance journey, 2024 is looking set to be Cardano's busiest year yet. As the building continues, we'll hear from some of the creators behind Book and SundaeSwap a little later in the show. Plus, Mauricio Magaldi will be stopping by for an update on midnight. But first up, as we head into 2024 and the next phases of the governance journey, let's get an update from the Intersect team on their progress.
Hi, I'm Jack Briggs. I'm the Head of Marketing and Communications at Intersect, and we've got a blockbuster February update for this Essential Cardano 360. So the first thing to update you on all today is the ongoing work on core Cardano and the concept of Cardano continuity. So continuity was first coined in 2023, and it expresses the technical work required to keep the Cardano blockchain infrastructure running, and importantly, keeping up the development momentum, including upgrades and necessary developments. At Intersect, we have created a delivery assurance function to oversee this delivery of the ongoing work, which is currently being worked on by 7 different suppliers, including IOG, Tweeg, Galois, Welltwiped, and others. These 7 suppliers are in the process of delivering multiple pieces of development work that will be familiar to the community, including work on the SIP 1694 governance technology, peer-to-peer network management, just to name a few. This is the work that is currently in train. Intersect's role is a steward to deliver that work as we continue the governance journey and the migration towards a roadmap that is fully community-driven. So over the coming weeks, Intersect will outline these continuity items, and we're going to share this with the community as well for feedback. In the longer term, continuity will be defined through a community product backlog process, of which we've heard of before. That's going to start to look at how it gets funded with community consent from the Cardano Treasury, as described through the mechanisms in 1694. Intersect essentially will act as the orchestration body for the work on the core technology, helping coordinate the processes to determine community requirements, suppliers, and ensure community consent, and ultimately delivery into the tech stack. Building on community-centric processes for this is key here, and that work started last week with a kickoff workshop convened by the Intersect Civic Committee. That initial groundwork will be shared more widely across Intersect member groups like the Open Source Committee, technical steering groups, and so on. So expect more on that soon and details of how you can get involved too. Additionally, we've got a couple of big events that are coming up for Intersect. So we'll be next in Tokyo, appearing at the Teams Web3 Summit. So if anyone is out and about in Tokyo and wants to pay us a visit, please do. And also nod to much further ahead in October, where we'll be going back to Tokyo to hold our first annual members meeting. Super exciting, where members will be able to get together, vote on the 2025 Cardano budget, and a lot more. That's me, and I'll pass over to Christian Taylor, the head of our open source program office, who's going to be looking a little bit more at continuity and the product backlog.
Hi, everyone. My name's Christian. I'm the head of the open source program office here at Intersect, and I got some new exciting news since the last 360 that we did. Related to the open source committee and our initiatives, we've actually grown to ratify our governance policy, which was briefly mentioned last time. But we are actually pioneering that as a test pilot to see its actual application towards the Cardano open source projects. And we are starting off with our network team led by Marcin, who's also a seat on the committee. So he's being our guinea pig to make sure that what we have written in this policy applies to these projects before we do a wholesale adoption to the other projects going on. Related to that, Marcin and Ryan Williams are heading up 2 product working groups, which are going to help fill in this product backlog feature into continuity. And that way the community can help determine backlogs and features that they view important and feed into the mechanism of continuity as the TSC and others work to put those in order and priority. And also the open source committee related to roadmaps and future, the open source program office put its 2024 roadmap in front of the committee. And last Friday, they have actually ratified that. The Q1 through Q4 roadmap will be published here shortly, and you can find that via our Discord channel. We'll put it on my LinkedIn as well as the Intersect homepage and update that roadmap that the committee published for last year's roadmap. But essentially, Q1, we're going to be focusing on governance and foundation, where we're going to be setting up the OSPO governance model, how it interacts within Intersect, as well as the community and the delivery assurance function of Intersect. And the other important thing is we're developing an open source strategy so that when we talk about Cardano and open source, you can actually visualize where Cardano is and where it needs to be and how open source maturity matters to that project and how it will affect Intersect, but not Intersect as a whole, but how Intersect plays within the community and helps build that community collaboration so it's a decentralized development led for the community. So with the first draft of the open source strategy, we will actually have this at the beginning of March for everyone to jump in and participate and help drive to the final iteration of that before we get into pilot testing of that use case. And the open source committee will actually be hosting those sessions so the community can feel free to participate and even join our weekly calls, and those are recorded and published as well for everyone to be able to join in on. And those sessions are hosted on our Gitbook for anyone to continually read on the work that we have going on. And the honorable mention too is as we move into Q2, we will actually be doing a pilot so that the strategy that we draft isn't just a stagnant document, but a pilot to test that and have a proof of concept for open source. And we have 14 draft bullet points that we will also put out with the strategy for testing criteria to that we would love the community to participate and pick what matters most to you and how you would define Cardano as open source. But those are some of the things we have going on right now. And to come back to the product backlog function, I'd actually like to hand it off to Ryan to speak about his success with the wallet working group.
Hi, I'm Ryan Williams. I'm a technical architect here at Intersect, and I've been working on building up and getting going the Wallets Working Group. We kicked off the Wallets Working Group last year, and through the start of this year, we've been really more formalising it into a more formal process. Our mission statement is to develop and enhance the wallets ecosystem we have in Cardano by, first of all, addressing big problems that we have in the ecosystem, like ecosystem level problems, and then moving in the product aspect so that we can govern the product backlog for wallets. This year we've kicked off with our Wallet Connectors initiative, and this is trying to address and improve on the state of wallet connectors that we have in Cardano. So wallet connectors are the APIs that sit in between wallets and dApps. So we've had really great input from the community, lots of people attending the calls, everyone giving their opinions on how we can iterate and improve wallet connectors for everyone. Moving into the rest of the year, we're working on the query layer initiative, whereby we're trying to standardize query layers in Cardano. So think things like Curios, think things like Block Frost. We're trying to make a standardized layer whereby wallets can switch between them without need for complex parsers or anything like this. Looking through the rest of the year, we're trying to trailblaze Intersect's governance structures and try to govern the product backlog for wallets. So things like, do we care about full node wallets? Do we want to fund their development going forward? Things like this. Currently, we've been meeting every 2 weeks. Everyone's invited. Everyone can come, anyone who's interested. You can find our terms of reference in the description, which has the links to all of our resources, so our Discord channels, all the SIPs we've been working on, the CPSs we've been working on, everything, yeah.
It's February 2024, and it has been a busy 6 weeks since the start of the year here at Intersect. My name is Gemma, and I'm Head of Community Tooling and Engagement at Intersect. So, just so everybody's on the same page, Intersect has been provided with some funding from the Dev Trust to award grants to members of the community to support the achievement of Intersect's goals, which in turn will benefit the community and the whole Cardano ecosystem. So these goals, just to refresh your memories, are 1694 governance technology up, live, working, functioning well. Intersect being fully operational, so having all the committees running in a fully operational state, and having a constitution that's delivered and ratified by a constitutional convention. So this has been the focus of the categories that we have opened and will remain the focus of our categories until the end of 2024. With that in mind, we have had 4 categories that have opened and closed since we began, which includes the proposal discussion forum, which was awarded to WeDeliver. So they've now kicked off their work, so that's really exciting, and they're aiming for a finished product by the end of June 2024. Then we have the Constitution Committee portal. So we now know that this has gone to Bloxico, and the DRAP campaign platform has been awarded to Ladder Nation. So congratulations to these builders. Really exciting news. This is pending contract agreement, but yeah, we'll be kicking off the work with them very shortly. Then we have had the Education and Multimedia category, which is now closed, and we received an exceedingly high number of applicants. So thank you very much to everybody who submitted. We have now gone through an internal review and we're ready for our decisions to be ratified by the MCC next week before we are able to share publicly. And finally, we have our open category, which remains open until the end of Q1. The open category really is a category for members to propose new tools that have not already been funded through any of the other categories, or if you think that potentially things haven't been adequately adapted or that haven't been built at all. So as I mentioned, these proposals should aim to create new features and complement other tools that have been built in the ecosystem. Given the fact that we did receive an exceedingly high number of applications to the education and multimedia category, we would now like to propose a decentralization strategy for the decision-making of grants moving forward.
Hello, everyone. I'm Lorenzo, and I lead the product team here at Intersect, and today I'm going to give you an update on GovTool. So the SundaeSwap GovTool is currently open for everyone to test at sunshowgov.tools. This current version is connected to SunshowNet testnet, and it allows users to see the governance action, register against DREP, delegate to a DREP, and also vote. Since the beginning of the year, since the 1st of January, we had over 700 unique users testing these features. We are now in the process of designing and developing improvements and updates to GovTool. The proposal discussion section is currently being designed, and the new DREP Explorer feature and governance action submission feature have started development. These new features will be available on sunshowgov.tools for testing in the next few months. In our continuous effort to decentralize, GovTool will be open source and owned by the Cardano community through Intersect. To start this process, we are creating a governance tool working group who will be responsible to refine the decentralization strategy and to action it.
Hi everyone, my name is Simo Simovic and I am head of delivery at Intersect. I'm happy to announce that we have updated Cardano and Intersect roadmap on intersectmbo.org website. The 2024 calendar contains significant and historic milestone moments, events, and community decision points. The main thrust of this year for Cardano is development of minimum viable on-chain governance. Intersect continues to serve its members by bridging the gap between decentralized governance and the community. We are happy that our recent roadmap updates is increasing the year granularity and enabling our members and all stakeholders to understand how the year will unfold. I would like to mention just a few events that I'm most excited about. These are Cheng Hard Fork, Annual Member Meeting, and Constitution Convention. The Cheng update is the culmination of many years of hard work, including all the community participation that continues to build pace on SunshowNet. It represents a significant step toward minimum viable on-chain governance as it is defined in SIP 1694. Once stake pools have successfully upgraded their node to support the new protocol and dApps and exchanges have integrated the new node, we will be in position to upgrade to a new ledger era. Following this, Cardano will have moved fully into the age of Voltaire, laying the on- and off-chain foundation for self-sustaining blockchain and trailblazing the way forward for the industry. The first annual member meeting for Intersect will occur in October 2024. The inaugural event is planned to take place in Japan, a nation with a strong and long-standing Cardano community involvement, with the option to participate virtually. Members will have the opportunity to participate in a workshop and events covering the previous year development and review Intersect 2025 plans for approval. There is much more on this to come, so watch this space, please. The Constitution Convention will take place in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Following the Global Constitution workshops, selected delegates will convene to ratify a final version of the Constitution before heading on-chain for confirmation. This collaborative process of decision-making aims not only to influence the trajectory of Cardano, but also to exemplify the practical execution of decentralized governance by collectively agreeing on the content of Cardano Constitution. We'll continue to update the roadmap as events and timing are added or changed, so keep an eye out for updates.
So thanks very much, Lorenzo, Ryan, Gemma, Christian, and Simo. It's been a blockbuster February, as you can see. And if you want to get involved with Intersect, you can still join today as a founding member. Just head online, intersectmbo.org, and join there. Additionally, there is a weekly development report being shared every single Friday via our social media channels, so you can keep up to date with everything that's going on with our membership committees and various other things. So I look forward to speaking to you again in March. See you then.
So thanks to all the team at Intersect for that. And for the latest governance updates from Intersect, sign up for their newsletter and join the monthly town hall, plus follow them on X. And a shout out while we're at it to all the members of the community working on various governance initiatives the world over, from Tokyo to Ghana, Oslo to Indianapolis, Bogota and beyond. Midnight opened its public DevNet on February the 26th, inviting the developer community to try things out, identify areas of improvement, suggest new features, generally stress test the platform in its alpha release. Midnight's head of product, Mauricio Magaldi, joined us to tell us more.
Hi everyone, this is Mauricio, the head of product for Midnight, and I'm here to give you an update on everything that's going on with Midnight. Midnight's development sandbox is now publicly available for developers to experiment without impacting real users or real assets. We opened up the environment on February 26th, and let's remind everyone that this is a public DevNet. It's public because it's open, but it's also a DevNet because it's a system still in development. So it's an alpha version with some features that are still in exploration mode. So the goal is for the pioneers to come and build, identify, fix issues, fine-tune the system in preparation for the future stages of development of Midnight. So if you are a builder, you can help influence Midnight's product roadmap by sharing your desires, expectations, and the feedback with working with sensitive data. We're excited to welcome you to this new stage of Midnight with a head start on building on the system, pioneering data protection technology, having a real impact on the direction of Midnight's roadmap, getting to build direct relationship with Midnight's engineers and the wider community to meet and discuss data protection with the rest of the developers, showcase your work, and find even opportunities to collaborate. You're also going to be using Compact, which is Midnight's coding language, which is a simplified language designed to integrate with TypeScript. So we believe that the people who benefit the most from participating at this stage with Midnight are those who have a vision for a dApp that has specific data protection needs, early adopters that are committed to careful development of a system through extensive testing, people who have blockchain experience or people who are willing to learn about blockchain, and also people who are committed to sharing their knowledge and to collaborate around the development are all more than welcome to join Midnight at this stage. If you want to get started at this stage with Midnight, visit our website at midnight.network and join our Discord servers, which is now available for developers.
And if you want to learn more about Midnight and partner chains more generally, make sure you check out Charles's excellent recent interview with Cardano with Paul. You'll find the link and the timestamps below. Last month, members of IOG attended the University of Edinburgh's QSig event, where academic and industry leaders gathered to explore the exciting opportunities in the realm of quantum cryptography. The event, sponsored by IOG, the Cardano Foundation and the Ethereum Foundation, explored this exciting new area for the blockchain industry, and with industry leaders joining together to understand the possibilities with this technology, it can only mean great things for blockchain in general. Here's a look at some of the highlights from the event.
The QSig workshop is a venture into understanding quantum technologies and the positive impact they can have in the wider space of blockchain systems. So usually when people think about quantum, they're thinking about the negative effects of quantum computing. So basically the attacks become faster. Now, there is another flip side to that. It is possible to use quantum enhanced devices to do pretty remarkable things that are impossible classically. One such object is one-shot signatures, which was introduced by myself and 3 co-authors in 2020, that studies the concept of a digital signature that has a self-destroying secret key after it's been used once. And now this turns out to have a lot of applications in blockchain systems, which is something that is explored by the QSig workshop.
I discovered this paper, the one-shot signatures paper, a few months ago, and I kind of got nudge-sniped. I got really excited about it. And part of the reason is that, at least theoretically, it completely changes the end game of blockchains and consensus. And my goal is to try and understand consensus. And so, in some sense, it's a North Star that I wanted to better understand. And so I emailed Agelos, and one thing led to another, and we have 40 people here and some amazing speakers.
When the Ethereum Foundation contacted us and we spoke to Agelos, not only have we the opportunity here to work among some of the leading layer ones, but we also have the opportunity to take point of departure and ground research and try to solve some of the common problems the world is going to face in the future as we move closer to a Q date, but also about how we can actually use this for the public good of people and infrastructure at large.
So I read the paper from Agelos, was quite interesting, especially when it comes to the application on blockchain technology and the new paradigms. On the one hand, there are the challenges that quantum computing might bring in terms of breaking our security assumptions. So that's one thing we have to keep in mind and see if our blockchain systems or decentralized payment systems overall still remain secure. So that's one thing, and then the other thing is, of course, the new applications that you get by one-shot signatures and other primitives from the quantum cryptography space, which allow, hopefully, for even more freedom for the end users in the end and more accessibility to financial services.
I talked about one of the projects that I work on, which is pretty much like unusual, innovative. Some people, they call it crazy, in the sense that we use biology to build cryptographic primitives, and in particular, we use proteins and utilize their features of unclonability, self-destruction, to build self-destructive memory devices, and then we expand on that and build more sophisticated cryptographic applications using these memory devices.
It's been an absolute pleasure to be able to join the QSig workshop. It's a real honour to be in a room full of so many experts across the field of quantum cryptography, which is obviously a very new and exciting field in many ways.
I'm not a physicist, I'm not a scientist, I'm an attorney. So why am I here? Because blockchain technology and now quantum technology are some of the things that we're using to try to come up with solutions as to how human beings interact, how we solve a lot of fundamental problems and issues we've been dealing with for a millennium.
I think what's also been great to see is the level of collaboration, both on an academic level, but also having an event that's co-sponsored by the Cardano Foundation, by Input Output, and of course the Ethereum Foundation. I think we see far too much tribalism in blockchain, and really this has been the exact opposite of that. People coming together to share their knowledge, to share their goals and their aspirations for their particular technologies, and understand how through that collaboration we can kind of build a much more exciting future for our industry as a whole.
This is pure technology. There's almost no economics involved. And it's also an opportunity to create and provide coordination across multiple disciplines. And this is something that blockchain people excel at, right? Because you need to have expertise in economics, mathematics, cryptography, networking, and so many other things. And here it's a similar thing. You need expertise in quantum, in cryptography, in blockchains in order for this to be a meaningful, holistic picture.
I've learned a lot of things. We had a tremendous set of people that joined us here at the workshop. The presentations were really interesting, and I would say very deep technical, but also very wide-ranging in the different angles that they were looking at the question. So I did learn a lot, and I also hope that everybody who joined here had the same experience. I'm actually very excited about how today went. So understanding how quantum technologies can have a positive impact in securing this infrastructure is very important, and I do anticipate in the future that techniques like the ones that we study here at the QSig workshop will find their way and influence the way that systems that are used in financial transactions are going to be built.
I have a much better understanding of what it would take to bring one-shot signatures to reality. But I also want to try and understand, okay, is this really the crazy future, or is this something that we can potentially see in the decades to come? Because ultimately, blockchains are meant to be structures that live for decades and centuries. And so making a 20-year or 30-year investment is, in the grand scheme of things, not a big investment.
It's been an amazing day, and it's really awesome to go from amino acids and proteins to quantum computing. Go from the Ethereum Foundation to the Cardano Foundation to IOG, really looking at the base and ground research and engineering, and looking at how we can bring all these minds together to solve really important problems, such as a Q-Day who might be coming in our lifespan actually, but also in how we collaborate together to get more adoption and a more equitable future.
This is a real treat when people come together and collaborate, and I do hope that we will see more QSigs.
And while we're still in Edinburgh, let's give you an update on the Edinburgh Decentralization Index, an independent framework being developed to offer a North Star for the principles of decentralization across the entire blockchain space. The EDI looks at a number of factors in determining the decentralization of public blockchains for the purposes of assessing health across networks, token distribution, governance, maturity, regulatory components, and more. Moshta Batefa, Blockchain Program Manager at the university, stopped by to share more on the progress of the project.
Hello, my name is Moshta Batefa, a Stanford University PhD graduate. Over the past year, as the Blockchain Program Manager in the University of Edinburgh, I have been actively fostering connections with both industry stakeholders and the academic community. Within the School of Informatics, the Blockchain Technology Laboratory is at the forefront of research on distributed ledger technologies. And we have lots of collaborative research with other schools and departments within the university. And it spans computer science, game theory, economics, law, business, regulation, and everything related to distributed ledger technologies. The Edinburgh Decentralization Index is a framework to objectively assess the decentralization level of different layers of blockchain protocols. So the aim here is to have a holistic approach and to measure decentralization across different layers each blockchain platform has. It can be used by enthusiasts, policymakers, and all the industry actors to assess risk in an objective way and make informed decisions using different blockchain platforms. The aim here is to have a pipeline that is fully replicable by anyone on Earth. So we don't use any private APIs, we don't use any private source of data. Everything is either on-chain data or some other public resource like the GitHub repository of different projects. So everything would be transparent and the end-to-end pipeline is replicable. So everyone can tune the parameters of EDI and have their own specific version. For example, regulators might be interested in some metric more than the other one. So we have this flexibility of using different metrics, different granularities, different time frames, different resolutions, and all of that is tunable and tweakable inside the toolbox that we provide. We have already published our first layer results. There is a dashboard to showcase that. The link to the dashboard is public and we invite community to look at the results. Also, the code base behind that dashboard is open source, and anyone, any developer, any technical person from any blockchain community is welcome to give feedbacks or run their own version, put issues on the GitHub repository, send pull requests. So we actually want the community to own EDI and we want participation as much as possible. So we will elaborate on this much more in an upcoming work, but for now, you're more than welcome to look at the different metrics we provide on the dashboard. For the researchers or the more technical members of the community, if you want to know more about the methodology behind EDI and the details of the work we do, the SOK Systemization of Knowledge paper called A Stratified Approach to Blockchain Decentralization will be published in the Financial Cryptography 2024 conference in a month, and the paper is already available on archive. Feel free to have a look at this. We will have upcoming publications throughout the project and more will come out, but for this one you can look at it already on archive and Financial Cryptography 2024. We encourage everyone to get involved. The code is open source and is licensed under MIT license. which is fully permissive, even for commercial purposes. So we don't have any objection to people making money out of EDI. Maybe you want to have your own version, host your own version. For regulators, for exchanges, you might replicate our methodology. For example, on some data that we don't have, as I already told, we will use EDI on on-chain metrics for the layer 1 projects, but whoever knows what else you can do. For example, apply it to DeFi projects, second layer solutions, to the private data that the exchanges have and we don't. Regulators use that on a sandbox. So everyone is encouraged to collaborate and contribute to our code base, and feel free to get in touch. The code base is fully public on the GitHub repository that we have. The language, the programming language is Python to engage as many developers as possible. We also have a comprehensive documentation to walk you through the installation process.
So thank you to Mojtaba and the entire team at the university for driving this important and exciting work to bring greater transparency and a common frame of reference across the whole industry. And if you want to get started using the dashboard or contribute to the codebase or even just read more about the EDI, we've left some links below for you. Next up, let's catch up with some builders. IOG's Matthew Capps sat down with Josh from Book.io to talk about their upcoming conference, and with Pi from SundaeSwap to hear more about the development journey and SundaeSwap's new V3 white paper.
All right, Josh, thanks so much for joining us on the show. Could you just briefly introduce yourself and also Book?
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me. Yeah, so Book is a decentralized platform for ebooks and audiobooks. So we basically take books and we put them on the blockchain so that the entire contents of the book live on chain, and it's an immutable book that can't be altered or changed or taken away. And then it really, as an end user, it gives you the ability to truly own that book, which allows you to then resell it or give it away when you're done with that book.
And what's your role at Book?
I'm the CEO and co-founder, and we started maybe just over 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, maybe.
So I hear that upcoming you guys are holding a book conference. You've been in the game for a while now. You've had a lot of success. Can you tell us the story of leading up to deciding to launch a book conference? Why a book conference?
Yeah, for sure. So, our community has been awesome. Like the Cardano community in general has been great. We started with Cardano. We've since launched on several other chains, but the core of our audience is still a Cardano-based audience, and they've been fantastic. Like, we try to do a lot of stuff to give back to the community. They've been really great and supportive of just like kind of a bigger mission of decentralizing knowledge. And so we thought it'd be really cool to have and kind of host our own conference. And so we're bringing together some really top experts from the publishing field, some of our investors that we work with, some authors that have done some projects with us, like individual publishers from publishing houses. And then Charles actually is going to speak as well. So we'll have a couple other blockchains represented there. And it should be a great time just to kind of talk about the future of what putting these bigger, kind of more robust assets on chain outside of just kind of PFP type projects, but like what does a future look like where, these bigger actual sort of DRM protected assets live on chain, and what does that kind of mean for the future of Web3 and expansion to the mass market, really?
It would be great to also hear the story of Book's development from the early stage to the point here where you're actually thinking about and have, created and are running a conference. So what's that journey been like?
Pretty wild. So, we kind of came into this not as blockchain or, I'd say even Web3 from that industry. We had, I'd previously helped co-found and build and sell a different ebook company. We started that back in 2009, and then I ended up exiting in 2018. And so kind of towards the end of that, I started to have ideas about what maybe blockchain would mean for publishing and what that could look like. And so we came back and revisited that idea a couple of years ago and started to kind of put some ideas around, what would that mean? And as NFTs sort of came out, it started to make more sense of this idea of, hey, what if we put the entire book completely decentralized on chain? And so that sort of started us off. And then we launched the first book in July of 22. And since then, it's been going great. Like, we've been adding more and more books. I think we're up to maybe 100 and close to 175 titles now that we've done. And that's probably, close to about 250,000 units. Yeah, it's been great. We do some public domain stuff, we do some indie author stuff, and we do some stuff from publishing houses, kind of a mixture of all those things as we continue to grow. And yeah, just leading up to this idea of kind of a movement that's, I think, growing and has a lot of legs. So it was really this underpinning of let's get everybody together and have a bunch of conversations and spend some time together and kind of see what comes out of that.
Yeah, and so you have BookCon. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So it'll be just a one-day conference. We're just doing a single track. We're kind of skipping all the breakout rooms and all those sort of sessions so we can keep everybody kind of focused on a single thing. And yeah, we have a pretty awesome speaker lineup. We've actually have a VIP party the night before, and we're going to do some kind of fireside chat stuff for everybody that gets a VIP ticket. And then the day of, we're kind of going all out. Like we're not in the business of hosting conferences really. So we're sort of looking at it as just how can we give back to the community. So effectively, all the costs that any revenue we're generating from the ticket sales side of it, we're dumping right back into it. So it's going to be fully catered, like open bar. We'll do a lunch and a dinner thing, and then we're going to have like an after party, and it should just be a great day, connecting with everybody kind of, IRL, right? And seeing people in person kind of for the first time and getting to meet a lot of our fans in person for the first time. We're flying over all of our team, like we're a pretty distributed team. So we're bringing everybody kind of across the world in so we can all meet, and which I think will be really fun. And a lot of the engineers are actually doing they're coming in early to do a hackathon the week leading up to that, which is really cool. So I think it's just going to be kind of a cool, sort of annual thing we want to do to give back.
So at this conference, you have people from across, in a sense, the book ecosystem. You have your community, you have your team, you also have industry experts. To give sort of a wider view here, what does it take for a blockchain project to become an industry leader in an industry that isn't traditionally thought of as blockchain related?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, obviously, we have a really large competitor, which is Amazon, who sell, books on Kindle and Audible, and then there's iBooks and others like that. So, but what we offer really is quite a bit different than what they have, right? They're selling books as like a license. So you're not actually buying the book, you're just buying a license to look at that. Whereas we're selling you the actual entire asset, which is what allows you to then resell it, right? So, a lot of that I'd say coming into the publishing industry specifically, like, it's great that we had worked in the industry before because that industry moves very slowly, right? So a lot of the people we worked with, all the partners at the large publishing houses are the same. So that's given us a lot of like quick access and entry back into those things. And I think, just at larger scale, right? Like looking at this and thinking about like what the potential scope of something like books could be, what we're trying to do is meet people in the mass where they are, right? So today, people don't typically buy digital music or movies anymore. They stream most of that. So the only digital actual asset that the mass consumer buys on like a daily regular basis are ebooks, right? So sort of targeting that first, and that is a huge potential market. I mean, it's over 1 billion people a year buy ebooks and audiobooks. So it's much, much, much larger audience than just trying to target and focus on a crypto, kind of centric community. Then that was kind of our premise, was like, how do we really expand and take, what blockchain enables and what it allows us to do, and take the benefits of it and enable a mass market to like experience the benefit of that, which is the ownership side.
Well, so if people want to get involved in BookCon or just in general follow you guys, how do they do that?
Yeah, our website is easy. It's just book.io. And then we've got a banner at the top for BookCon. Our Twitter is just book_io. We have a great Discord channel as well. Yeah, love to connect any way that people want to jump on.
All right, Josh. Well, thanks so much for joining us. And we're looking forward to seeing what happens at the conference.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate your time.
Hi. Well, thanks so much for joining us on the show. Can you just, for anybody who hasn't been paying attention, introduce yourself and also Sundae?
Sure. So my name is Pi, like the number. I'm the CTO at SundaeLabs. We are a kind of blockchain consulting company focused on Cardano. Our flagship product is the SundaeSwap protocol, which was the first AMM DEX on Cardano. We do a lot of consulting with other companies, and we really try to push the space forward on a bunch of different fronts. But, our primary focus is still that protocol and kind of delivering new features and new improvements to that protocol.
Yeah, and so as a team and as a project that's been around for a long time now, What's the development journey been like? It's been a while since you were on the show. How have things been and what's going on right now?
Yeah, I think the last time I was on Cardano360, which I always love coming on, it's great talking to you all, was around the time of our relaunched UI. I think around this time last year, which was a really exciting milestone for us. Since then, we've done a lot of iteration on that, released some new features like being able to update an order, a whole new rewritten yield farming program. And most recently, we've been working really hard for the last 8 months or so on a new set of contracts for the Sundae protocol. And so that's the main thing that I want to talk about today.
Yeah, so take us into that. What's involved?
This is a new set of smart contracts written kind of to either replace or augment the V1 contracts. We've rewritten them in Aiken and really focused on striking a good balance between what features and improvements can we include now to get us ready for the next 2 years without kind of just tinkering away forever, right? Because we've got a ton of ideas. We've got a list several pages long of just bullet points for ideas that we could include. And so we tried to be really judicious about which ones are going to be the most impactful to deliver now, while also setting us up to be able to extend the protocol going forward. And it's a really great opportunity both for Sundae, the protocol, SundaeLabs, and for Cardano, because it kind of is a chance for us for the first time to sit down and apply all of the learning that we've gotten over the last 2 years at really that next step change improvement to the protocol, right? One of the most frustrating things about building in Web3 is that you build forever. And those contracts that you build and release to the world are immutable. And so any new features that you add have to be within the context of those contracts. And it's also an unfortunate circumstance that just in software in general, you make the most important decisions about a piece of software you're writing when you know the least about the problem space. And so, we built our protocol using the tools and knowledge that was available to us and kind of pushing that ecosystem forward 2 years ago. And these contracts really represent our next gen, our ability to sit down, reflect on what worked well, what didn't work well, and really build like a Cardano native protocol rather than, a focus of how do we build anything at all? Now we can build what is the best thing that we can build.
So if Sundae V3 represents sort of a maturation of this Gen 2 of Cardano dApps and sets a paradigm for that, what are some of the major themes that people can expect to see in that new paradigm of Cardano dApp?
So the first thing I'll say is that there's a lot to cover and we can't fit that all in this segment. So definitely encourage everybody to go read our white paper and look at or watch the other interviews that I've done. Definitely a lot more information there. But I think there are 3 main themes and features that we've fit into the Sundae V3 protocol that really exemplify that second bite at the apple theme of this kind of Gen 2 of Cardano dApps that are coming out. The first big one is scalability. So in the first version of our protocol and in all of the protocols that launched around the time, they were written in Plutus TX and had certain execution unit limits. And in the 2 years since, Cardano has really learned how to optimize contracts a lot better. In particular, we're rewriting in Aiken, and that's allowed us to take the 2 to 4 orders per batch all the way up to 35 orders per batch, which is, in some cases a 10x or 15x increase. Beyond that, beyond just having that increase in throughput, that efficiency also means cheaper fees for those interacting with this Gen 2 of protocols and Sundae V3 in particular. The second big theme that we focused on is interoperability, right? So if you look at all of those V1 protocols, everybody had their heads down, focused on how do I deliver my product? And so Cardano dApps can feel very siloed and very, you go to Sundae and you do a thing, you go to Indigo and you do a thing. And so what we really focused on with the Sundae V3 protocol is how do we make this interoperability more of a central theme? Whether that is new features and primitives that allow people to build on and integrate with the contracts themselves, or even something as simple as a readily available and well-documented SDK from day one, we've really focused on how can we build out not just the Sundae user experience, but the whole Cardano user experience. Just as a concrete example, when we launched our preview testnet, Butane jumped on that idea, and within 24 hours they had a working prototype of mint a synthetic asset and immediately sell it on Sunday in the same transaction, which is really cool to see, and exactly the kind of interoperable flows that we think will make Cardano DeFi really shine in the coming years. Finally, we really wanted to focus on kind of flexibility and programmability. With recent protocols like Axo and Genius Yield, those are a big theme in those protocols. Axo's pioneered this idea of a programmable swap, which is a really interesting idea, and huge props to them. But there were certain aspects of it that we felt didn't quite fit the protocol that Sundae is trying to be. Not saying that their approach is bad or anything like that, but it just kind of didn't fit within what we envisioned and what the community members we've talked to envisioned for the Sundae protocol. And so we have this notion of strategies that enable far more dynamic, reactive, and programmable trading strategies on the Cardano platform that go above and beyond just, I have funds that are sitting in a limit order, or I have funds that are sitting in a liquidity pool. And so we think that notion of flexibility and being far more advanced with the trading instruments that Cardano DeFi provides will be another big theme across the board in this kind of Gen 2 of upcoming Cardano dApps. And we think Sundae v3 strikes a really great point in that design space.
And so if people want to follow up, they want to get involved with Sundae, or they just want to learn more about Sundae v3, how should they do that? Where should they go?
So the best number one place is probably our Twitter, SundaeSwap on Twitter. We're always kind of announcing new things there, and even announcing things that you should be careful of, new scams in the ecosystem, so things that people should be wary of. So it's a great place to kind of follow the latest for the Sundae protocol. We also have a Discord server that you're welcome in, and fosters a lot of really good discussion around different topics related to governance of the Sundae protocol. And as we go into this on-ramp towards launching the v3 protocol, there's a lot of really important decisions that the Sundae DAO has to make, what to set different fee percentages to, and how to budget with the protocol treasury. And if you are interested in on-chain governance, now is one of the best times to be in this ecosystem, with the launch of Voltaire and really great projects like Clarity and Summon coming online, and real meaningful decisions being made by things like the Sundae governance. It's a really great time to get involved, and we'd love to have you in those discussions and participating in that governance. So that's kind of my call to action to everybody.
Great. Well, Pi, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
So all the best to the book team for that event. And if you want to take a deeper dive into SundaeSwap v3, check out the in-depth interviews with Cardano with Paul and Farid from dApp Central. Well, that's nearly it for February, and what a great start to the year it's been. But before we go, a few other things to bring to your attention. Talking of a great start, the Messari State of Cardano Q4 report was recently published, revealing an ecosystem in rude health and demonstrating significant momentum across a wide range of metrics. We've dropped the link below, so take a look at that, and thanks to Red Sheehan at Messari and the team for their reporting. And talking of momentum, we also shared an update on the progress of Plutus v3, the latest addition to the Cardano Developer Toolkit. A collaboration between IOG's Plutus and cryptography teams and leading Cardano builder MLabs, the upgrade offers greater efficiency, throughput, optionality, and ease of use to the builder community, all key to nurturing developer adoption. We've linked below to a recent blog post which goes into some more detail, and if you're a developer, head over to SanchoNet to give v3 and the governance actions a test drive. Last but not least, last week IOG announced a collab with the TELUS Foundation on the SNARKTOR white paper, a decentralized protocol utilizing ZK SNARK technology to enhance security and scaling efficiency. We'll be sharing more on that soon, but meanwhile, you might want to check out the white paper link below. So that's it for February. Join us next month for more highlights from the team here at IOG and just some of the projects building out the Cardano ecosystem. But for now, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you're the first to know when the next show drops. See you in March.